There's all kinds of tests on the market to test our physical health. For example, blood works. There's also plenty of tests to test our psychological and mental health. For example, a personality test or an IQ test. Are there, however, any ways to gain really deeper insight as to ourselves? One such way could be to ask ourselves as to our degree of receptivity to values. Right? To what extent does something higher than the animal speak to me? To drive the point home, we can ask ourselves whether it is possible to take a farm animal such as a pig, a donkey, a cow, and get them excited by proposing anything to do with truth. Right? Here's something true concerning yourself, concerning reality. Anything to do with goodness. Here's the possibility of some kind of impersonal uh, act of willing the good of another, or beauty. Hey, Piggy, here's a beautiful painting. Why don't you appreciate it versus your slop? Which one are you going to choose? So the animals will always choose that which is befitting them, which is great for them. That's the only option, of course. The pig will always choose the slop over the beautiful painting. The donkey will always choose whatever it eats, maybe some hay, in favor of some or another impersonal formulation of truth, some kind of philosophical claim, something like that. The cow will always choose grazing and such over the possibility of doing something impersonally good for somebody else. And obviously, that's speaking loosely because they would never be able to consider the option in the first place, but just so to speak. Excuse me. Human beings, however, past a certain age, can in principle favor values such as truth, goodness, and beauty over and above the strictly animal, which obviously also implicates us. Obviously, we also need to sleep and to eat, and what comes after eating and all of that. We have no doubt an animal life, but we can also have an above animal life. We can also be at least a little bit receptive to values. They can excite us at least a little bit. Now, the extent to which I am receptive to values is just some such test which can say a lot about us beyond anything comparatively superficial, such as my personality type or even my IQ, or something like this. I can have on paper a phenomenal personality and I can have a sky high IQ, but you cannot get me to move a finger by offering any kinds of values to me. Again, here's truth. Here's the opportunity for goodness. Here's beauty. I don't care. I'm motivated strictly by self-interest, right? By what will stimulate me physically and or psychologically, by pride or possibilities of pride and honor and profit and such. On the other extreme, there are people that are very little motivated by self-interest in the lower connotation of the phrase and are driven almost exclusively by the higher human values, by the pursuit of truth, by the pursuit of goodness, by the appreciation and or creation of beauty. Stereotypical examples for the first one, a philosopher or thinker who cares nothing for profit or publication or fame or honor, but is interested preponderantly or solely by the possibility of attaining to a higher vision of reality. For the second, for goodness, the stereotypical example would be a saintly person that also is not interested in having his or her deeds showcased on social media, but is motivated by the possibilities of doing good for other people. Maybe somebody that opens up a clinic in a quote unquote third world country, right, and serves the poor and sick, and nobody knows about it, and that's fine because it's motivating enough for that person to simply do those good deeds. And for beauty, it would be something like an artist who, this again by stereotype, toils perhaps in obscurity and is satisfied simply by having the possibility of creating art and expressing him or herself by way of that aesthetic side. Right now, um, first of all, any of these instances, in order for them to be authentic, they can't be role playing. Every authentic embodiment of a value, right, or of a character has its um, uh, counterfeit counterpart, right? Meaning we can act just like in a movie. Somebody can portray those people, portray a philosopher or a saint or an artist, right? Without whatsoever having anything to do with that. Obviously, I'm an actor or actress and I want to be famous and make money, right? Or I just enjoy making movies and I'm just portraying this person. We can do that as well in real life. Right? I can adopt the self-image. I, the highly contemplative one. I, the saint. Look at all these good deeds that I do. And even if nobody knows about them, maybe especially, that feeds my pride. See, nobody knows about what I do. And I'm such a good person. And thirdly, look at me. I, the aesthetic one, the artist. Right? So there's counterfeit versions to every genuine embodiment of such pursuit of value. And yet, there certainly are individuals who can authentically be motivated, who are authentically motivated by those higher human values. And that is to say that we can use that as a tool for gaining genuine self-knowledge. We can ask ourselves, honestly, to what extent could I conceivably be motivated strictly by values? To what extent could it move me, right, to have the possibility to pursue the truth, period, to do good, period, to appreciate and or create beauty, period, without anything else, right? Without any strings attached, fame, profit, pleasure, and such. And then we can think about the answer without harsh judgment necessarily of ourselves. Right? It is very possible and likely that I cannot be moved solely by any of those values. Just not going to happen. I won't get out of bed simply because I have the opportunity to attain to a higher vision of reality, truth, simply because I can impersonally do something good for another, goodness, or simply because it brings me pleasure to create beauty. There's a good chance that's just not going to do it for me. I need something that speaks to me as I am now. The possibility of profit, of pleasure, of recognition, of attention, and such. And that's perfectly fine for what it's worth for the time being. But if I can recognize that about myself now, I can use that which speaks to me now in order to drive me further along the path of human maturation. Right? If right now, the only thing that motivates me is somewhere another carrot, I can use that carrot, right, to lead me along the way. Right now, only profit motivates me. Okay, no problem. Use profit as a motivation, but then hope to eventually go past it. Right now, only attention motivates me. Okay, use attention to motivate me, to get busy, get going, and then try to move beyond it. Certainly, being motivated by the lower values is probably preferable, perhaps always, maybe there's some exceptions, but perhaps always, to utter sloth and inactivity. I'm not even motivated by profit or by pleasure or by attention, honor. Right? I'm just depressed and I'm in bed and nothing will get me up. That's certainly not preferable. That's not more noble than getting up out of bed, excited to make some money, to feel good, and such. Better the latter than the former. But with that said, if I am in the latter boat, I can get motivated. But all of my motivations speak to myself in the aspect of animal, of creature. Fine. right? Do what I need to do now, do it well, right? Do it with all my heart, and yet aspire to eventually be able to be motivated by those higher human values, by truth, by goodness slash love, we can use that term if we prefer, by beauty, and that is a good deal, befitting the dignity of human beings. So we can think about it. Thank you for listening.